Good morning, good morning. I come to you live in person from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm here at my office in Midtown Toronto, a local expert studio. And today I'm continuing in the series of training I've been sharing lately in this new year, January 2023, on the importance of having a business, who should have a business, how you should register a business, and the benefits of having a business. My name is Raymond Harlal. If you haven't seen me before, you can Google me, see my track record of many years of business history, partnerships, entities across the world, businesses with partners in India, all across the US, of course in Canada, in South America, and we're getting ready to launch a global business with one of my partners. And if you're interested in becoming, earning income from helping other people to migrate to Canada, come here as a student, come here as a worker, come to Canada to visit. My partner is a immigration consultant, and we're getting ready to open offices around the globe. So if that's something you have considered, if you're watching this live and you're able to go on social media, then you may qualify to become, to be a part of one of our mentorship program to become a registered agent in our immigration consulting business. And this is an opportunity. I start with this because this is available to anyone, anywhere. Of course, there are requirements, there's training to be done for you to become a fully certified registered agent with our immigration consulting business here in Canada. But today, as promised, I want to go over the 5 different ways, the 5 different ways to farm a business in Canada. Actually, you can do this in many countries. It differs slightly in many countries. In the US, it's called an LLC. In Canada, it's called a sole proprietorship. And so I want to go in case you haven't seen some of my work, I have written several books. This one is called Congratulations, You're Hired. I co-authored this with a friend of mine, Joseph. I've written books with legends like Brian Tracy, phenomenal leader in the personal growth and development arena. Been featured in the Who's Who magazine in Guyana, my home country. I've had the distinct pleasure, the privilege to contribute to this book called Dear Napoleon, published by the Napoleon Hill Foundation. So I'm honored to be a part of this. I've been in books with other entrepreneurs. This was done by a great friend of mine. He has recently passed. And what I've created for you entrepreneurs, you want to become a business person. Guys, accountability is everything. Accountability is so important when you're an entrepreneur. And so I've created the Entrepreneur's Agenda. This is over 370 pages of every day keeping track of your business activity, of your time, of what you're doing, of your meal plan, of your goals, of your how many sales calls you made. So this manual, I've created this called the 5-9 Club, and the reason why I call it the 5-9 Club is because most people work 9 to 5. If you want to be an entrepreneur, guys, I'm here in the office early. If you want to be an entrepreneur, guys, you have to be able to be focused on your growth, your development, your business success from at least 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Does not mean you have to leave your 9 to 5 just yet. And the reason why I call it the 5 to 9 club, that's an 18-hour shift, 16-hour shift. If you're working a 9 to 5, that's just an 8-hour shift, right? So you can still. Good morning from Uganda. Amazing, amazing. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Happy New Year's to you. And so, if you're part of my mentorship program, you'll be getting one of this, where I hold you accountable in growing your business and growing yourself personally with your mindset, helping you to develop a great business mindset, and most importantly, track the growth of your business. From even if you're starting, even if you have an idea that you want to start a business. Yesterday, I covered how to go from an employee to an entrepreneur. You better watch that, guys. Watch that if this is something you are considering to do. How to go from an employee to an entrepreneur. The day before that, I covered the 7 fears that people have when considering to start a business. Today, I want to go into business entities. What kind of business you want to form. So I'll go over them first, then I'll go into details of each, and then I'll also compare them so you understand, and then I'll even go further and tell you the one that I like the most and why I like it the most and why I have these ones. So there are 5 ways to form a business, register a business. And the first one, and this is for Canada, in Canada, it varies. The name of these entities vary from country to country, but they're across the globe. It's similar. It's similar. So the first one is called sole proprietorship. And if you see me looking down, I have my laptop here, and I'm just reading off the notes I've made. Sole proprietorship. This is a business owned and operated by a single person. That's why sole proprietorship. Single person. It is the simplest and least expensive business structure to set up, but it offers the owner no personal liability protection. Okay, simply put, you can register your name for low cost with your city, your state, the jurisdiction responsible for registering a business name, and you operate. This structure get taxed under your personal taxes. Now, in North American countries, in first world countries, even in third world country, wherever you are, you run the risk of being sued by a supplier, by a client, by a customer, by a competition, by a passerby. So, operating as a sole proprietorship is not my entity of choice. I'm going to continue with the other ones, and I'll tell you which one I like and why I like it. Number 2, so the first one, the first of the 5 ways to form a business in Canada is sole proprietorship. Number 2 is partnership. Partnerships. This is a business owned and operated by 2 or more people. In a general partnership, partnerships can be either general partnership or limited partnership. In a general partnership, all partners are personally liable for debts of the business. In a limited partnership, all partners, they are both general and in limited partnership, they are both general partners and limited partners. So in a limited partnership, they are still general partners and limited partners. The general partners manage the business, and the general partner manages the business and are personally liable for the debts, while the limited partners are only liable for the amount of money they have invested in the business. So partnerships could be a little bit complex. I don't like to do it in the partnership entity also, because you run the risk of, even worse, run the risk of partners fighting with each other, and then some are liable and some are not liable, and it could get messy. That doesn't mean partnership business are not great. Dwayne Richards is watching. Thanks for watching, my friend. Better tax advantage for sole proprietorship in Canada while getting started. You got it. While getting started, brilliant. And I'm talking, yes. If you're small, you're just getting started, sole proprietorship is the way to go, because you don't know if your business is going to succeed. You don't know if you're going to take a year or two, and you can generally operate from your home. It actually gives you great tax benefits in terms of deductions when you put your sole side gig together with your main gig, which is your main job. So if you're not ready to leave your job yet, to quit your job, that transition period between going from an employee to an entrepreneur, there's a transition period there. So you want to start that, generally speaking, as a sole proprietorship. If you're looking to raise capital, your idea is phenomenal. It's going to be a big deal. If you generally have the experience in an area, you were working for a large corporation, that company has just shut down, and now you have no conflict of interest with that company, I'd say register a corporation and start probably doing that same thing that they were doing here before they went away. If you work for a company, guys, there's generally rules that apply, that you're not allowed to compete with that company, and it's not an ethical thing to do, right? If you're working for a business owner, a small business, a large corporation, you do not want to be competing with that company from within or soon after. It's not the ethical thing to do. If there's a clean break, if you're allowed to do so and you want to do so, then go ahead and do that. Now, the third way to form a business entity in Canada is corporations. This one I love. I love corporation. Here's why. Well, I'll just read the description of it. I'll go into why a little bit after. This is a separate legal entity owned by shareholders. So corporation, Raymond has several corporations in multiple countries. And so I can't have twins or triplets or duplex or quad or whatever you call it. I can't duplicate Raymond legally and give other people my name, Raymond Harwal. Well, my kids do have it. But I can go into different countries and create corporation, so to speak, and they're legal entity, legal standalone entity for all legal purposes, for the tax purpose, for banking purposes. Corporation are standalone entities. They're owned by shareholders, meaning they can be publicly held shares, or all the companies on the stock market are corporations that are publicly held, allowing you to buy and sell these shares instantly. That's what stocks are, shares in a corporation. Corporation can either be federal or provincial. Here in Canada, you can have a provincial, which is like a state of Ontario or Quebec corporation, or you can be British Columbia, Manitoba, and these are provinces in Canada. In the US, you can have a Florida corporation, you can have a New York corporation, You can have a New Jersey corporation, California corporation. It still allow you to operate throughout the country, but I like the federal corporations from the start if I'm getting incorporated. That way I can operate nationwide. Depending, if there's something that's only licensed in a province or a state, you want to just register locally, so to speak. Corporation can be federal or provincial, and they offer their own limited liability protection. Let's say a corporation is getting sued, they cannot come after the owners, the shareholders, or the directors, or the employee assets. Let's say a corporation owns a vehicle and that vehicle makes an accident, get involved in an accident on the road. They generally cannot sue all of the owners of the company. They may be able to sue the person that was driving and the corporation, but that's where you have insurance, you have liability insurance, you have collision insurance, and all these things. The fourth way to form an entity in Canada is cooperatives. Cooperatives. This is a business owned and controlled by the people who use its service or product. Cooperative can be organized as for a profit or a non-profit entity. And these are these can be your local banks. It can be a non-profit. It can be something created by your religious organization, by your cultural society. Number 5, the fifth way I have them on how to form a legal entity in Canada is non-profit organization. This is a business or an organization that does not operate for the purpose of making a profit. Non-profit organization can be a charitable organizations, social enterprise, or other type of organization that are established to serve a specific purpose or cause. So most of your charity, most of your churches, they're going to be non-profit. If not most of colleges, public colleges are formed under a non-profit structure. Doesn't mean they don't make profit. It's just that they have to disperse the money, and that's why you would see maybe a college start very small and it got so big and they have multiple locations, so they can just keep the money that they have to expand and get bigger and bigger. Hey, you want to give those key points a 10, and thank you. Go ahead and leave your comment in leave your comment. I can see them. Thank you, guys. So I just went over the 5 ways to structure or form a legal entity here in Canada. It's similar for the US, Guyana, Uganda, Kenya, India, wherever you're watching from, guys. They're similar structures. They may be called different things. If you're watching and you'd like to consult with me on which structure is best for you, for your idea, for your business, I'll be happy to do that. Email me for a consulting session. We'll set it up. I'll let you know how much. And now I want to go into the structure of a Canadian corporation. Remember I told you I love corporations best because they're amazing. And I'm going to go through the structures, and then I'm going to give you the benefits of this after that. So there are several benefits to farming a business into a corporation. And as my friend Richard pointed out earlier on the comments, that it's best to go as a sole proprietorship initially. Yes and no, depending on how exposed your business is. If you're gonna be somebody doing home renovations, you do not want to be a sole proprietorship. Or if you are, you want to have a high amount of insurance protection. Because if you operate as a sole proprietorship and you have a contract with a homeowner and you're not able to fulfill, or something goes wrong, or the homeowner says you didn't do what you said you're going to do, and now they're suing you, they can actually take you to court, sue you for your house, your car, your vacation house, your boat, your motorcycle, your whatever you have, right? So it depends on how exposed you're gonna be to liability. Even if you have a high cash flow business, if you have, maybe your clients are owing you for a while, you want to be in a corporation, guys. Or if you are owing somebody else large sum of money, and maybe the supplier, your customer, is not able to pay you. Let's say you bill up accounts payable. Let's say you have accounts receivable of 100,000 from this company, and all of a sudden this company goes under, claim bankruptcy. What happens to you? What happens to your company? Now, you personally gonna have to find the money to cover the expense. If you're in a sole proprietorship, it becomes your liability to fulfill on a debt, because you may also take on expense to do a project that cost 100,000, and now the project that's not able to pay you anymore. Now, what are you gonna do? If you are in a corporation, you can then say, oh my goodness, instead of losing my home, I would just lose this company, right? And you can do that when you have a corporation, if it comes to the end of the road. And this is when things go bad. But I'm gonna cover other benefits, guys. We don't look at the bad side when we start a business. It's good to know what could happen and what has happened to other businesses, other people, other corporations, but it's always good to aim on the best side of things. Have a mentor, have a business consultant, have a coach. You don't have to do everything alone, because you don't know what you don't know. Okay, guys? So let me go over the points I made here. I have 6 points. 6 benefits for farming a business into a corporation. Lots of people come up to me before I go into it. I want to cover this. A lot of people come up to me and say, hey Ray, I want to start a nonprofit. I want to start a nonprofit. These are people that are underemployed or unemployed. And so I like the noble idea of starting a nonprofit. It's great. But guys, if you're not financially stable personally, if you don't have a performing business for cash flow, I would say hold off. My great friend Greg is watching from Guyana. I would say hold off on farming a nonprofit just for a little bit. It's noble, great idea. I'd say go and partner with an existing nonprofit and promote them. Promote an existing nonprofit before you go through the hassle and the cost of starting a nonprofit. We don't want this nonprofit to fail. If it's something noble, you have to be able to fund a nonprofit. If it's charity work that you're trying to achieve. And so I would say, unless you have cash flow, unless you're able to fund your own nonprofit, hold off. Take the time, build your knowledge, develop your skill, create income, and in your personally and in your own business. If you have a business already, or if you're a professional, you're a high network person, you're an executive, you make tons of money, and you're giving lots of money to charities, and you want to start a charity yourself, great, go ahead. But I see people that are not financially stable personally that comes with this mission of helping others. Great, I like it. You can help others by volunteering. I'm helping others right now by sharing knowledge freely online, globally. Somebody will see this somewhere, someday, and it's gonna live on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, actually, you enjoy this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, leave a question. I'm always monitoring these channels for questions so I can make my content better and serve you better. And so I'm going to go into the 6 benefits to forming a business into a corporation. So the number 1 benefit is limited liability protection. One of the main benefits of incorporating a business is that it offers limited liability protection to its owners. So the owner is separate from the entity legally. Although you're the owner of something, you're not the thing. Brilliant. It may seem unfair for those of you who are not familiar with business. Thank you, Greg Reed. He says, yes, you are helping many persons by sharing your wisdom. This means that a personal asset of a shareholder are generally protected from the debts and liability of a corporation. So what does that mean is a corporation will have its own bank account. And if the corporation take on a high level of debt, they want to build a new factory. They get funding from a bank or financial institution or private money or equity firm for $300 million. And all of a sudden, there's a big strike or war in that area that they were going to build their factory. And now the corporation has lost all their money. They can no longer go through with that factory. What happens? The owner of the corporation don't have to pay that money from their pocket. The loan was granted to the corporation and it was evaluated based on what the corporation had proposed. So then that becomes a problem for the bank, and the corporation will have some issues with that. Might not mean it has to shut down. It could have an insurance policy to protect against these unforeseen circumstances, which most large projects will do. And so the owners are not really personally liable for that large debt that was taken on by the corporation. Number 2, and I love this part more than anything. I love legacy building. As you know, I'm the author of 10 or 12 books to date. And I love writing books because it's leaving a legacy. A book will survive me, will survive generations of me. And so that's why I love sharing my knowledge and skills in books. Me doing these series of videos, I'm going to be converting this into a book of content. So although you're enjoying the content now, it's going to also be archived and be available in a book format. So if you were thinking about writing or publishing a book, that's what my company do. One of my company, Local Experts Group Publishing, does book publishing, and so we can help you with that. Number 2 benefit for forming a business into a corporation: continued existence. Continued existence. A corporation has a legal existence that is separate from its owners. A corporation has a legal existence that is separate from its owners. This means that it can continue to exist even if its owners leave, die, or sell their shares. So the ownership of a corporation is transferable. And I can own it for while I'm alive, and then I can pass the shares to my kids if I want them to inherit it, or I can sell my shares. So it gives you an amazing amount of flexibility to make your legacy stay on forever. Also, if I'm a sole proprietor and I die, then my company dies with me. If I'm in a corporation, that corporation will never die. You file your taxes every year, you'll be all right. If you don't file your taxes 2 or 3 years, or 4 years, 5 years, most jurisdiction where you have register your corporation in, they will automatically dissolve your corporation. However, if you're a functional corporation, you're filing your taxes, you're doing your annual filing with your state or your or the country, the business department that's responsible in your country for maintaining records on corporation, then you'll be fine. The third benefit of forming a corporation is transferability of ownership. Shares of a corporation can be bought and sold, making it easy to transfer ownership of a business. I personally have started a trucking company 7 years ago, and 5 years ago, after 2 or 3 years of operating the company, I sold the corporation. I sold 100% of the shares to two guys that wanted to start a trucking company. So instead of them starting a company from scratch with no history, no accounting history, no credit history, they were able, and having a trucking company in Canada requires many things. You need to, insurance companies want to see that you're kind of good and that you've gradually grown to a certain size. They don't, if you buy 10 trucks today, you probably won't get insurance on it because the insurance company doesn't trust you. If the 10 truck disappear all at once, they're going to be a huge liability to cover. So insurance company and trucking company, they want to see you start with 1 or 2 or 3, and then every year you can gradually grow. If you grow too quickly in a trucking company, which is a high liability company, they actually get scared and don't want to cover you, because people have done all sort of fraud in the industry. So other than that, you need a special operating license, commercial vehicle operators registration, which is a different entity that you have to register with, a different governing regulatory body to get that. In the US, it's DOT. When you see DOT on all the trucks, they have a special registration number. And these Department of Transportation, they track the safety of your vehicle. They'll inspect your trucks on a regular basis as you drive along the highway. And if you have too many issues with your vehicle, if your vehicle are coming overweight, you're not securing your load properly, they find that there's defects, lights are off, brakes are not adjusted properly, then you get points off, and eventually you could be disallowed from operating on the road, your commercial vehicle. So it gets very technical, and so cooperations are great for that. And I told you this story because this is the reason why my trucking company was purchased. Since then, of course, I started several other companies. I still have another trucking company, and so it's always great to have cooperations because not only did I sell my truck 5 years ago, I sold my service vehicle, and I also had a pretty good chunk of change for my company on paper, which is just a name. It may sound, oh, the company is a name. No, it has all these things I told you about. It had good credit, it had a good track record of operating, it had no insurance liabilities, and so this company, just by having a good record and operating for 2-3 years, became an asset for me that I was able to sell for profit. So forming a corporation allows you to actually create equity within something that's other than yourself, that you can pass on or sell. Let's go to number 4 on the 6 benefits to forming a business into a corporation in Canada. Tax advantages. As you start bringing in large amounts of revenue, it's better to have a corporation. If it's a small amount, let's say under 100,000, and your business is not exposed to a lot of liability, then a sole proprietorship could still work for you. I always still prefer a corporation. Why? Because I can transfer my sole proprietorship to my kids. I can't sell my sole proprietorship to anyone. I can't get business credit on my sole proprietorship. So tax advantages. Corporations can be eligible for certain tax advantages, such as a lower tax rate on certain types of income and the ability to distribute profits to shareholder in the form of dividends. So dividends are quite interesting. Here in Canada, I can get up to $40,000. It changes year to year ever so often. You have to consult an accountant for this, and it varies for different entities. So these are just a ballpark average figure that I have done, and that's why I can share it with you. I'm not saying this will be the exact amount for you, and this is why we need to have a one-on-one consulting and to see where your company is going, what kind of revenue you're gonna expect to bring in, and kind of structure how you should structure your business. There's other reasons too. I can tell you all of this and you can say, hey Raymond, my intention is to buy a home in the next 2 years. I would say then, or keep your full-time job, because if you want to buy a house, you have to show income, stable income for a certain amount of time. 2 years, you have to show 2-year tax return to get a mortgage. So when you start a business, that interrupts your income stream, and it could fluctuate like this. So so if you're telling me this is why, these are some of the reasons why we have to have a holistic approach to when starting a business. You have to know when to formally start it, if to leave your job now or not. Because if you need a mortgage, you really need to show stable income. The banks are not the greatest. They're not happy. They're not overly excited to lend or loan to self-employed people. They want to more. It's all set up for employees. Okay, so there's there's ways around it, but generally speaking, you have to know. You have to speak to someone, or if you're watching this, is great. But on this call, on this live, I'm not able to cover every single aspect of it. So that's why when you come into my office for consulting, or we do it on Zoom, wherever you are, I'm able to listen what your goals are, what you want to accomplish, and then I would say, okay, we'll do this entity now, and then we'll probably formalize it later, or then we start it in somebody else's name for a bit, but you own the shares. There's many ways to own a corporation without the information being public, and there's pros and cons to this. Again, I'm not giving general accounting or legal advice. I'm just telling you what I do. Number 5 on the 6 benefits why you should have a corporation: the ability to raise capital. Corporations can raise capital by issuing shares of stocks and selling them to investors. This can be a useful way to fund business growth and expansion. This is how Jeff Bezos started his Amazon company. This is how Elon Musk is able to raise capital, money to go to space with his stocks and his shares. And you'd see all these famous CEOs and owners of the corporation being online. You may think it's cool, but they're also marketing. It's a form of marketing to raise capital. When you buy shares in the company, you are... Sorry guys, my buddy was calling there. Okay, let me get going through this. Number 6 on the 6 benefits to having a corporation is professional image. Professional image. In cooperating, a business can give it a more professional image and may help it more and may make it more appealing to customers, suppliers, and employees. So having a lot, people kind of like working for a large corporation. It has a brand, it's international, and it feels good to work for a large corporation rather than just a sole proprietorship. So these are my 6 reasons why forming a corporation is beneficial. So today I covered 5 ways to form a legal entity in Canada. Then I cover several benefits for forming a business into a corporation. And before I leave, I actually want to add one more section to this, which is very relatable. It's actually, I think it's needed to explain. A corporation is a separate legal entity owned by shareholders. Generally, and it can be provincial or federal, same as state or federal. It can be, for my business in Guyana, it can be, well, corporations are, it's just federal in Guyana. If you're having a federal incorporation, you can do sole proprietorship on the county level, in the different, you can register in the local courts. I want to go over the structure of a corporation typically includes the following components. So there's four different kind of hats to wear, four different kind of people, four levels or class or type of people within a corporation. And so the first people, the kind of on a scale of who's most important, of who calls a shot or who owns this business, are shareholders. Shareholders are so powerful. These are the owners of a corporation. They hold shares of stocks in a corporation and have the right to vote on certain matters at shareholder meeting. And these matters includes voting on directors of the company. That brings us to the second level of people with the most power and influence. I'm not saying most important people, everybody is important. I'm just saying the people of most influence and power within a business, a corporation. The second set of people would be board of directors. This is a group of individuals responsible for overseeing the management of a corporation. They're elected by the shareholders and are responsible for making strategic decisions and setting company policies. So the board of directors are given the task by the shareholders, who are the true owners. And you may have seen some massive news. Hey, Mike Green, my amazing friend, great realtor, and a great friend of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. If you saw in the news, Elon Musk bought Twitter. Elon Musk bought Twitter. What does that mean? Elon Musk is an individual person. First, he bought 10 shares of Twitter, 10% of Twitter, which allowed him to have one board member seat. He went in there, he realized that this is something not being run well, or it's he didn't like what was going on. And because Twitter is a public company, and Elon Musk was able to offer them a higher amount for the shares than it was trading for publicly. And he's able to buy off everybody's share. So if I had owned Twitter when it was public, the board of directors now made a decision that it's in the best interest for each of the shareholders to sell their stocks, because they're now going to have a higher amount for the shares, per price per share for the stock. And so they've made that decision to sell the entire Twitter, which was a publicly run company, to one private person. So now Elon Musk is 100% shareholder. Of course, he has investors, but he investors in his company, but it's a private company owned by Elon Musk. And he has investors who invested with him, may or may not. I'm not sure about that. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate you, brother. So what Elon Musk did was he bought up all the shares. So he's 100% shareholder. And this, I'm telling you this story just to tell you how powerful shareholders are. When Elon Musk bought over Twitter from a public company to a private company, he fires all the board of directors. And there's nothing illegal with that, because the responsibility of all the shareholder is to choose board of directors. And Elon Musk became the power of all the shareholders, and so he changed all the board. He actually don't need it, because he can be the only board of director if he wants. I'm not sure what it is right now, but there was so much news on this and bad press as what's going on with Twitter and what's going to happen with Twitter. I think Twitter is going to be the #1 social media platform. If a guy can go to the moon and the guy can make electric cars when electric cars wasn't cool, and create roads underground to save the pollution problem and traffic problem. I really think it's going to be an amazing company now. The third set of people that are most significant in a corporation is the officers, and this is the C-suite. The officers are this CEO, Chief Executive Officer, I am CEO, COI, Chief Operating Officer, and the Chief Financial Officer. All of the C-suite, this and that. These guys, it also includes the President, the Vice President, the Secretary, the Treasurer, officers. These are the individuals responsible for managing the day-to-day operation of a corporation. They're appointed by the Board of Directors and typically include the President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer. So if you see the trend is going, let me finish the other one, then I'll put the whole thing into perspective for you. The fourth level of people in a corporation are the employees. And I'm not saying nobody's more important than anybody else. I'm just saying who has authority over whom in a corporation. Employees are the individual who works for a corporation, are responsible for carrying out the daily tasks required to run a business. They could be a contracted employee, which are 1099 in the US, or self-employed in Canada, or they can be, or you can be a full-out employee employed by the company. So now, shareholders are the true owners of a company. There's private company and public company. So shareholders of public companies are if you have stock in the stock market. If you have a private company, you can also invest in private company and have the same stocks, but it's not as fluid or liquid as owning stocks in a private company. And Warren Buffett loves owning stocks and shares in private company, which is why his stocks are the highest stock value on the market. They're like $400,000 or $500,000 for one stock. They're type 1A stock. So shareholder could be private people that you don't know who they are. They're just the true owners of a large corporation. Board of directors, these guys hold meetings. It's called a board of directors. It's usually 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 people on a board of directors. Why is there odd numbers of people on the board of directors? Because when they have a vote, you don't want to have a tie. You want to have majority rules. So board of directors, the shareholder trust put the board of directors in charge to set policies and goals of the corporation. So the board of directors are really the people that are the strategic long-term planners of a corporation. They give the mandate, they hire officers to run the daily operations of a business, and the officers are in charge and given the responsibility to hire and fire employees who runs the daily operation, the day-to-day task in making that business a success. So there it is. I love forming corporations, and at the corporate level, I've went over all the benefits there are for corporations in Canada and in the US. In most countries where I have companies, it's in corporations. So if you If this stuff seemed a little bit complicated or confusing, that was not my intentions. If you're just thinking about starting a business, this might be a little bit confusing for you. It doesn't mean it's just for informational purposes. I'm not saying choose one and go do it right away. You could if you like, or you could also hire a consultant. I'm a business consultant. I'm available to help you strategize, go over your business ideas, advise you on the best structure to form your business entity, make it legal, depending on what your goals are. And so if you have any questions, guys, I appreciate you guys joining live here on Facebook. This content is going to be uploaded to YouTube. If you're rewatching this at a later date, be sure to leave a comment, send me a message, a private message. I can connect with you. We'll set up a call for consulting. You can do it in person here in Toronto. I'm usually in the US. I'm usually down in South America. I'll be going through, we'll be hosting events in all of the Caribbean countries soon. And as I opened up this call, I like to give you an opportunity to start somewhere, anywhere, to earn money. And you can do that right now. I've just partnered with an immigration consultant, my business partner, and we'll be taking our immigration business global. We have a unique opportunity for people wanting to start your own business in terms of marketing, immigration services on our behalf. It's a very regulated industry, so there's lots of stuff you can and can't do, and so I'm just giving you the general idea of becoming a registered agent. The general idea is you refer clients to our immigration consulting business company, and you get commission for doing that. And there's different tiers. We can train you on how to also help with the application form, which is allowed as we open up our offices in different cities, different countries, under our official office and license in Canada, and you can earn income from that. It's a simple way to start earning income in terms of commission, and you can earn a whole lot. If you work a little bit, you make a little bit. If you work a lot, you make a lot. And it's simple as marketing. And as you know, I own a marketing company and a marketing agency. So I'll help you. I'll be coaching you on how to market and promote that. And this does not take away from your passion, your dream, your business that you want to start, guys. I'm sharing with you openly how to do this stuff. I'll be writing a book on this. I'm in the process of writing a book on this, which is why I'm going through all these sessions live to share with you now. It'll be published by my publishing company, and it's going to be left out in the market to last forever as a legacy, because books last forever. They really do. It's intellectual property, it's copyrighted material, and so I earn commission on the sale of my material. So if this is something you'd like to do, you want to start a business, you want to earn income, you want to make money while you sleep is what I call it, be sure to message me if you'd like a business consultant, or if you want somebody to go over your business plan or go over your business idea, or somebody to help you with your business plan, somebody to help you farm a business. If you need a business office, a business location in Toronto, we also have available spaces at our office. So let me know, message me. If you're looking to start a business, you need a joint venture partner, message me. I'm interested. if you need capital, or we also fund companies, fund small businesses. If you have money and you want to invest in a business that's already successful, already making money, already running, we can help you with that too. So we kind of make this a hub where new businesses can get started, old businesses can get expanded, and we can grow your business. If you have a business that's not doing well and you need some marketing strategy, marketing advice, you need my video marketing team to produce content on it and market you on social media. We also do that. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked the content today. Today I went over the 5 ways to form a business entity in Toronto, Canada. Sorry. Also went over the structure of a Canadian corporation, and it's generally the structure of a corporation in most countries, which are shareholders, board of directors, officers, employees, and also went over the benefits of having a corporation and why I more tend to have my entities as corporations. And I share the benefits with you. And if you want to start a business, the stuff I covered today might be a little bit complex, but we can have a one-on-one discussion, and after listening to you, I'll be able to point you in the right direction, which entity is best for you. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you. Do have yourself an amazing, amazing day.